So
Montana, do you have the agenda in front of you?
I have to look at this. Yeah, the split screen. Hold on a minute.
Sure.
All right. So hold on a minute. I have to get it from my.
Chair Montano, it is on the screen now.
Okay, good. Well, I don't see it on my. I don't see it on the. I don't see it on the Zoom screen. So I'm going to be using my laptop. Here it is. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone, let's stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Does anybody want to volunteer to say it out loud? Okay, I'll do it. This is nobody's jumping to it. Okay, everybody stand up. And we're going to do a virtual flag salute. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation
under God,
indivisible, for liberty and justice
Justice
for all.
All right, thank you. Okay, approval of agenda so approval of agenda for today.
I move
May
to
1st.
move to approve the agenda.
I second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any discussion? Okay, so it's unanimous. Next one is approval of minutes of April 6th.
Move to approve the minutes.
I second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any discussion? None, and that is passed. So we have approved the minutes. Okay, public forum. So I read the public forum. Those interested are invited to address the subcommittee on any subject not on the agenda via the meeting public comments form available, which is at https www.cimlpdas California Education Public Comments / the city clerk subcommittee chair or designee will read comments out loud at the meeting. As an item not listed on the agenda, no response is required of the subcommittee or staff. However, subcommittee members may request staff to add the item to a future meeting agenda. This public meeting will be led with professionalism, respect, and civility. No profanity and or vulgar language will be shared. Okay, so now we are on to 6 business items. Small business loan program. So we'll give it, I'm going to turn it over to Alex.
Thank you. Mike, when you have a quick moment, can you put on the presentation on the screen, please?
Okay.
There it is. So I understand that we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to talk quickly. My name is Alex Andrade. For the record, I'm the Director of Economic Development. My pleasure to be here before you, Chair and Council Member. This is our 3rd meeting already. And so again, I'll talk quickly and allow me to go through the presentation, and then we'll get into the discussion. Okay. So I figured we'd start with the purpose. This is on the agenda. You may remember that at the April 21st City Council meeting, Council directed the subcommittee to discuss and recommend to Council approval of a $250,000 city-sponsored small business loan program in partnership with both the Silicon Valley Community Foundation and Opportunity Fund as fiscal agent and administrator. Next slide, please. So I alluded to the City Council meeting of April 21st. I think it's pretty important for us to start here. This is the information that was discussed in terms of eligibility criteria. So we'll go through this really quick in order to set the stage. So at the meeting, the discussion revolved around a range of $200,000 to $250,000 for a small business loan program. If it is $250,000, it could result in 50 individual loans with up to $5,000 per loan with 0 interest, and there would be a 24-month repayment term. It would also be tied to performance. One of the next important criteria include ensuring that these businesses have a long-standing presence of 3 years or more, and The next bullet point has to do, I think, a lot of what we heard most recently about the national credit retailers receiving funding like the Shake Shacks and the Ruth's Chris of the world. So council was very interested in ensuring that funding went to mom and pops and those sectors in retail, restaurants, and service, and that they have a physical storefront, brick and mortar storefront. Applicants who are successful will not exceed $2 million in revenues for the prior 2 calendar years. And they would not be eligible if they were involved in any way, shape, or form in wage theft or any type of illegal activity, as well as being delinquent or defaulting on a prior loan for the last 7 years. Funds must be utilized on eligible expenses within 45 days of disbursement. And to just be clear here, that doesn't mean that all dollars must be expended. They just have to start using that funding sooner rather than later. And then funds would be used for such things as payroll or operating expenses for products or services locally. And council was interested in these businesses showing receipts to the city of Milpitas or to be penalized.
Can I ask you a question right now or wait till after?
If you don't mind, it'll go quicker if we just
Okay.
thank you, Chair. And then the last one is obtaining and reviewing copies of loan materials from applicants. Next slide, please. So we recently had a meeting with representatives from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation as well as Opportunity Fund, and we wanted to make sure that the subcommittee was informed about issues that really need to be discussed and considered starting here and ultimately in front of City Council when we get there. So the first one has to do with an administrative fee. A couple of weeks ago at our second meeting, we did have representatives, Dennis King from the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center and Erica Wood from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. At that point in time, we inquired about the administrative fee. We did learn that it was 1%, but most recently in our conversation with Opportunity Fund, we learned that their administrative fee is 15%. Now, that 15% is inclusive of services that consist of loan administration, as well as checking with compliance, but then other services that I would call wraparound services for our business community, such as business coaching and planning advice. The interest rate would be 4.25%. The loans are enrolled in the iBank, which is the California Infrastructure and Economic Development Bank. And so also known as the California Small Business Loan Guarantee. So the loans would be at a 95% guarantee. The Opportunity Fund does not typically collect or review receipts, nor do they participate in penalties. That's not their business model. Also, loans would be for businesses who have not received any federal funding. And so most recently, you know that the Paycheck Protection Program, P3, has been specifically to keep people employed. And if they can provide proof that they've done that for 8 weeks, then those loans would be forgiven. So anyways, I have talked to several business representatives that have received some of those loans, not in a great dollar amount, but have received monies through that federal. Actually, that's I should be referring to the SBA, the federal SBA program, which is the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan Program. But anyway, the point is, if applicants have received federal funding, they would not be eligible for this loan. Also, speaking of loans, we have learned that there are some advantages and disadvantages to going through a grant approach as well as a loan approach. And so one of the advantages of going to the grant approach would be perhaps that the administrative fee might be reduced and things would move quickly. On the loan approach, the advantage there is that we would attempt to recoup our $250,000 investment in that respect. Next slide, please. And so this last slide is just providing you potential funding options between $200,000 to $250,000. That first bullet point is dollars coming out of the city council budgetary savings. That includes vacancy savings, benefit costs, and travel and training, and perhaps a combination of city council dollars, budgetary savings, and Office of Economic Development budgetary savings. So we're very excited about moving two projects forward, which include the facade improvement grant program, as well as the Better Block placemaking program. But those two will not be happening now because of the current fiscal situation that the city finds itself in. And so those dollars could perhaps be transferred into a grant or loan program. And then we would look at vacancy savings as well. Okay, last slide is just bringing up the agenda item again. So that concludes the presentation. We do have representatives from the Silicon Valley Opportunity Fund, as well as Silicon Valley Community Foundation, rather, as well as Opportunity Fund, in case there's any questions.
Okay, so yeah, I have a few questions if I can remember what they were. Okay, so going back to the first slide of funds, you said they can use that for overhead and other capital improvements, but nowhere in there did you mention rent? So so that those loans cannot be used for rent. Yes or no?
Mike, do you mind putting that that slide back up? While he's doing that, Chair,
The first slide.
I'll remind you and Councilmember Dominguez that that's the information that was discussed by the City Council. So those are City Council related eligibility criteria.
Well, that was part of first. No, that was part of the discussion. I mean, that I'm aware of. We discussed that at the subcommittee meeting. So prior. So why wouldn't it be part of the council meeting?
And it could
did
be.
Did it slip by somehow, or?
Well, it may have, but remember that before we get to council, this is why we're having this discussion now. We can make sure to modify the eligibility criteria. And I think that's a good point, because in our small business survey, we're finding that businesses need financial assistance to pay for rent or mortgage.
Yeah,
That's
that was the biggest one. So yeah, okay, so yeah, if you can make sure that that's included in there. The other question I had is, you mentioned that if the businesses that receive SBA loans from the federal government, they cannot qualify for these. So my question is, how many businesses do you know that did receive SBA that did receive the SBA funds, federal funds in Milpitas?
That information is not available. That data is not available at the local level.
Okay.
As far as I understand, we have information related to the Paycheck Protection Program, and I believe the economic injury disaster loan at a statewide level in terms of the number of loans provided, as well as the dollar amount. But I would look to our partners perhaps at the Opportunity Fund, and they may be able to assist in this question.
Okay, so you don't have that information, and there's no way you can get that information. Also, the other question I have is, I'm really surprised about the admin fee. Now it's 15%, and then so that was not, even the council did not know that. We said, we told them it was going to be 1%. So now this changes everything. And even, even that 4.5 interest rate, it's just, it just changes everything. And I'm disappointed, actually.
Chair, if I may respond, when we had Erica Wood of the Silicon Valley Community Foundation at our second meeting, remember she represents the Community Foundation, so she was only responding to her organization. We just had a meeting with Opportunity Fund just a couple days ago, And that's when that information came about. So you're
Okay.
right, our council did not have that information.
Yeah, they're not aware. They were thinking the 1%, you know, and so were we, Councilmember Dominguez and myself. Then you also mentioned, oh, well, let me ask Councilmember Dominguez if you have any questions, because I don't want to hog up I have other questions, and if you have any.
No worries, Chair. I think you and I have very similar questions. I definitely would like to open up the possibility for this to be used for rent. And so we could go ahead and do that. Now, Alex, you talked about the difference between this being a loan and a grant. And so if personally, I would be more interested in being a grant at this point. The fund amount of 250,000, I mean, Better Block was 100, and I know that was a dear to my heart program, but this is a need that needs to happen. So if we would to slash that program, I would move for this to be a grant versus a loan. I think the percentage would go down. That's from my understanding from the presentation. Do we know how low that would go?
Just to, before I answer that question, the Better Block dollar amount approved by council last year was $50,000. The pilot facade improvement program
together.
was $50,000 for the economic development budget, plus another $50,000 that came in through a community beautification program. To your question though, can you say your question again?
Yeah, so I just wanted clarification when you said this could be a grant or a loan program. And then my understanding was that if it was a grant, the administration fee would be less. What would that amount be? What would be the difference?
Yes,
From 15%
that's
to
what we understand as well. And I'm going to hand it over to my partners or colleagues at the Opportunity Fund and or the Community Foundation to respond if we were to go the grant route.
Yeah.
Sure. I can go ahead and address that. Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Torres, I'm the CFO with Opportunity Fund. Apologies, I had a bit of a connection issue there. So really the way that our fund has been structured is as a loan program. So we kind of started with talking with the city of San Jose, and then we realized some of the other fundraising that we've generated is sufficient to support a loan program. So right now, from those sources, we believe we can deploy up to $8 million in some of these relief loans throughout California, and then specifically in San Jose for that program. So the concept is that we're able to expedite the document process. We're able to offer a lower rate loan, have it guaranteed by using some of the state funds that have been allocated in response to the crisis to help make this a feasible product. We don't have a lot of experience. We're not really accustomed to doing direct grants to clients. So that's, I may have misspoke earlier kind of on our pre-discussion, where we are thinking about it as a scalable program and something we can offer to different cities and fundraisers based off a loan program.
Alex?
Yes, I was just going to mention that you and Steve had your hands up.
Yeah, so if we could just clarify when, Alex, when you talked about the loan and grant program, Councilmember Dominguez, it was related to how it would work, our relationship with the Opportunity Fund. So not necessarily loans or grants to the businesses. So the way the money would go to the Opportunity Fund, if it went as a grant, it would just end up being a revolving program, but individuals would still get loans, not grants. And then I just wanted to make a comment. So Daniel is having some issues with his connection. So there was one comment for public forum. So at some point, maybe after the discussion, we just want to make sure we're able to read it out aloud.
Okay, thank you so much, Ashwini. So I just want to clarify, because I know the council is going to be asking, so I just want to make sure that I understand it. So thank you so much. So it would still be considered a grant that would go through the Opportunity Fund, but with that differ in the percentage that the city gets charged for the administration of that grant if we did it through a grant program? I guess that's my question. I hope.
So if I could speak to, based on the conversation we had earlier with them, the discussion was that if we made this instead of just a 250,000 and then have it paid back, if we made that available, and then that could be kind of, that becomes a revolving loan program, then the administrative fee that the Opportunity Fund was taking could be negotiated down. Because then they would have access to those funds and be able to use those funds for future loans as well. But then the city would be basically giving the 250,000. We wouldn't be getting repaid, but it could go to potentially help others in the future.
Right. It would be outstanding. And as the loans repay, we're able to revolve it into new loans.
I see. So it would be just, it's like a bank account and it's with you and it has $250 starting and then it just continues to revolve as you give out money and money comes back in.
Yeah, essentially right. So when borrowers repay us, or in the event of a loss, we can use that state program to help cover that loss, and then we reloan it back out to clients.
Got it. Okay.
So I have one comment. I should have raised my hand. So I have no problem with the loan. My problem is with 4.5%. I mean, even right now, the mortgages are 3.75. So why 4.5? And why not 0%? So, but I know you guys have to make a profit too. So that's yeah. So why 4.5?
Sure. So I can cover some of the costs and expenses that go into making a loan. So part of the administrative 15%. So I can break that down a little bit for you. 5.4% is going to that state loss reserve fund. So we need to pay an enrollment fee to have that loan covered in the event of a loss.
And the enrollment fee is to who?
It's to iBank. It's the iBank program.
Oh, that's iBank. Okay.
And it really is backstopping a loss. So, if you consider 5.4% of the amount of the loan, if in this, uncertain time, if losses are 10, 15, 20%, that 5.4% is well spent, right? It helps cover and protect that loss. 1% of it is going to technical assistance, where we have a national partner that can leverage up working. They have a lot of experience in offering one-on-one direct assistance. A little under 0.5% is going to some cost of origination, like credit reporting, fraud checks, those kinds of things, ongoing credit reporting.
And that's what percentage is that?
A little under 0.5%, 0.3% is going to that. And then 8.3% is going to the direct staffing of the loan. So that was mentioned in the presentation. It's going to loan officers who are working with clients, pre-underwriting and underwriting, who are doing document collection and review, loan closing, who are working with the borrower to explain to them, the documentation, gather their signatures, and then servicing throughout the life of the loan for 27 months, collecting payments, working with them if they have an issue, or working with them if they have a delinquency. So we do have quite a few direct operating expenses. We're 125 person operation. So that's covering that piece of it. 4.25% is the rate that we're charging the borrowers. That's partially from the state guarantee program. They say, if you charge prime plus 1, then you're able to get this 95% coverage of loan losses. And again, it's not. I don't mean to diminish the cost of the loan. I mean, over the lifetime of a $15,000 loan for 27 months, it's about $600 a finance charge. It's not a material amount, but we think it's a pretty fair rate. And a lot of it really is for us to maintain contact with a client. The first 3 months are nominal payments, $50 payments, just so we can start to work with them, start to talk with them, offer them technical assistance. And then beyond that, hopefully a long amortization period for them to be able to cover those costs.
So if they were to get out a loan, take out a loan from iBank, how much will it cost them for all the processing fees and all that? What would they be their share?
So the borrower is not paying any financing in this situation other than that 4.25%.
And would it be worth it for $5,000 loan? I mean, but by the time they get it, so I'm not, okay, go
Right.
ahead.
So in our model, a few things. We do expect slightly higher loan sizes. For some of the other work that we've done, we've projected $10,000 to $25,000. It's really based off of the size of the business, based off about 1 month of sales. So different businesses have different needs. We do think that's a pretty attractive product right now, especially if you're unable to access PPP, if you need some cash to help support payroll, to help support debt service coverage for some of your other things, your rent, of course, that's a bill that's coming due every month. Absolutely, we think that that's a pretty desired product right now.
Okay, there was one more question that I had. So let's say that they were there's this month they can't pay their bills. Is that going to affect their loan application?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of the things we've done is limited kind of the COVID look back period. Gwendy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think as of the end of January, we're not really considering any delinquency from January forward when underwriting the loan, right? One of the things we want to say is 6 months ago, Opportunity Fund would have loved to work with this business. We would have happily underwritten them, given them a market rate product, fully confident in their ability to repay. Today, they probably can't get financing anywhere, right? And part of that is that these last 6 to 10 weeks where they've run into a completely unforeseen hardship, right?
Yeah.
So we are very cognizant of where the business was and where they are today.
Okay. All right. I guess you can, Alex, unless Councilmember has any more other questions. Alex, you can go ahead and ask the other parties that want to speak.
Just a point of clarification, Steve, the reason why we can't give a grant program like the city of Santa Clara is because our charter status, or because I know the city of Santa Clara did a grant program. So how come we can't do something similar?
It's because, you want me to chime in? It's because they are a charter city and we're not, we're a general law city.
That's what I wanted to confirm, if that was
So,
that.
Can you confirm that? Who are you asking, Alex?
I was asking Steve.
Are you online, Steve?
I could hear his mouth moving, but I can't hear him.
I'll go ahead and.
You can see? I don't even see him.
As our chair mentioned, that's exactly right.
And there's no way you can go around that? Is Chris here too, or no?
Could we put that on a ballot? That's another conversation.
By that time,
We may have a city attorney from Best and Kruger on the line, and I'm not sure if it's Chris. If it's Chris, it would be Chris Diaz. If not, it's Martin de Los Angeles.
can he give us some feedback on if there's any other ways where we can give out a grant? Because these businesses need the money now, and I'm just really concerned about the time, the window, because applications for loans take a long time. That's another thing that I wanted to ask the CFO. How long what would be the turnaround for this loan?
So historically, opportunity funds move very quickly in general. I believe our average time to close is 3 to 5 days for a similar product. Definitely, we totally understand that small businesses speed is king. So being able to close quickly.
Yeah, that's good to know. Okay,
That's good.
so go ahead and follow up with council members' question, Steve, or where were we at? Oh yeah, Chris.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether Chris or Martin is on the line.
Or Martin, are you there, Martin? If not, I guess he's not.
That's okay. I'll put it on the question block to ask him later, but yeah, that's
Okay.
unfortunate.
Ashwini, do you have any comments?
We do
Anything to
have
add?
a public comment, public statement.
Oh, yeah.
Hello?
Oh,
Hello, is this Alex?
Excuse me, I'm getting a call.
oh,
I kind of hear a really faint voice back
Can you,
there.
can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me just read out the public comment, if now's a good time to do that, Chair?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we have a public comment from Warren Wettenstein. Address is through Milpitas Chamber of Commerce at 828 North Hillview Drive. His comment is, please make the program available for 501c6 nonprofits, please. They are excluded from other programs, but help the community and still incur operating expenses such as wages, rent, and utilities, etc. That's the end of the public comment.
What was that again? Please help what?
Nonprofits.
Oh, nonprofits, okay.
Yes, so what he's referring to is
Yeah.
under the Paycheck Protection Program, nonprofits under a 501c3 status are eligible, but 501c6 nonprofits, which is what most chambers of commerce are or fall under, they are not eligible.
Yeah, I understand that, but we're focused, the city council has mandated us to focus on small businesses, and that's what we're gonna do. So let's, if by chance, maybe if we get more money in, maybe we can go that route, but they are our first priority right now. So, and yeah, that's the way it is right now. Okay, anybody else have any other comments?
Chair Montano.
Okay. go ahead.
Hi, so I don't see either Chris or Martin on the call, but we'll make sure to convey the questions and get back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Ashwini.
So, Ashwini, these were our, I'm assuming Councilmember Dominguez as well. These were our concerns, the 4.25 instead of a 0 versus a 0. I do like that it's a turnaround. It's 3 to 5 days a week because they need the money now. And then I'm concerned about the 15% admin fee. I think it was 15%, right? So all these things, it changes everything, but it's better than nothing. That's the way I see it, because they need help now. Going back to the 50,000 for the Better Block grant. Why are we able to give 50,000 there and then not here? So it's just that, why is the city be able to do that and then not this? Is there another way, another route?
Chair, can you say that again? I was
Oh,
hearing
why?
you intermittently.
Yeah, the Better Block.
Yes.
Why are we able to give 50,000 for the Better Block grant and then not this? And I think that's why I wanted the lawyer here.
Well, the Better Block program was approved by council for this current fiscal year. And it wasn't a grant, it was for $50,000 to both an organization by the name of Better Block that would normally go out and do just that, placemaking and improve blocks one block at a time. So that was a contract that we were moving forward with. But I think we've expended less than $10,000 on that contract. So the remaining funds could be used for this type of a program, small business loan program.
And it can't be used as a grant. Those funds can be used as part of the loan process.
It's one of the options that you may have. We can put up that slide up on the screen if you'd like, but those are only meant to be options and for consideration. There's other opportunities and other options that we can discuss at council's liking.
Is this the only model that we have? Are there other agencies out there that can provide a 0%? Is Opportunity Fund the only one?
I checked in with Dennis King at the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center, and they are trying to enter into this same space. And it looks like they're having conversations with the city of Sunnyvale for a programmatic effort with more dollars. That is still being discussed, and there's actually a phone call happening this afternoon. But it is another model we can take a look at, of course. But
Yeah.
they're really figuring out how they do that. It's not generally the space that they're in. Now, certainly they're known for business assistance and helping with technical assistance and access to capital, but not generally in the same type of space that Opportunity Fund is engaged in.
This is the city of Sunnyvale or an agency that's working with the city of Sunnyvale?
The city of Sunnyvale is putting aside some funding, and it looks like they may be working with the Silicon Valley Community Foundation or Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center.
Okay, then we should be doing that too. I mean, well, actually, let's look into how much they're charging and go from there, because like I said, everything has changed. It's, and that's why, but it's good that we're having this meeting, because now we have to go back to city council and give them all the facts. Because I'm pretty sure because we said 1%, but everything's changed. So we have to go back to them and tell them the facts, and then we will decide that they will decide as a group. We will all decide if this is the way we want to go. Another question that I have, since there are these charter cities, let's say like Mountain View and Santa Clara, is there any way that we can work in collaboration? I'm just kind of thinking out of the box, in collaboration, where they will be the ones that control the funds, but have some kind of a co-op, because this is they're all going through, every city is going through the same problem. Maybe we can create some type of a hub. They will be the hub, and we're all the cities that are general law cities are the spokes, and maybe they could be the fiduciary. They could have they have the responsibility of allocating the funds. So I don't know, something like that. Maybe we can have our city attorney look into that.
So, Chair,
Go ahead.
at this time, just because that 15%, as you have mentioned, it has changed this proposal completely. I personally don't feel comfortable moving it forward to the city council yet, because there's still so many unknowns. Would you feel comfortable just giving it maybe another week or a week and a half to marinate, so we could figure out what the SBA loan program, if that's even a possibility, or maybe even explore, like you said, a co-op or a collaboration? I just kind of feel like if we take this back to council for the next meeting.
It won't happen this next week.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
I just
it won't
want to
happen
make
next
sure
week.
that it's not, okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah,
but-
definitely, I agree with that.
But they'll probably get wind of it, if they're watching this.
Well, we
they're
could give
watching
them an
this-
updated
Yeah.
report, right? They'll receive
Yeah.
that. I mean, they could receive
Yeah.
that, and then, I mean, the subcommittee,
Yeah.
technically, those decisions take place here. And then in the meantime, maybe we could work with our collaborative partners, even those that are on the call, and see if there's any way we could minimize that 15%, because that does take a couple thousand that we could reallocate. So I see Chris there. Hi, Chris.
I'm looking
Thanks
at
for
the
joining
calendar,
us.
so I'm trying to figure out what day we can have our next subcommittee meeting. What would be the soonest time right after city council meeting, Alex?
Well, I think we need to give it some time to marinate too. So you said SBA was meeting today?
No, let me
sorry.
clarify, please. I'm talking about Dennis King's
Yes.
operation.
Oh, yes.
The Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center. They're having discussions with the local city in developing a similar type of a program. But you must remember, and we've been talking about expediency, in order to get dollars to our business community, they, being the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center, is entering a new space. It's highly complex. And so they need to figure out the kind of inner workings of how that's going to work with the city. So think about time in terms of when we get these dollars to our business community that needs these dollars yesterday. Also, in respect to the 15%, it is true that when we got to council, we had only talked to our partners at the Silicon Valley Community Foundation. So we only knew about that 1%. 15%, you can also discuss the options of grant versus loans in terms of looking at that administrative fee. So it's not the SBA, and staff would need certainly some time to continue to do due diligence. And if we're looking at the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center, it may take some time for them to develop this program with the city of Sunnyvale. So it may not be next week. I just want to be optimistic but realistic as well.
Okay, so.
As well, Chair, may I?
Go ahead.
We do have representatives from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation on with us, as well as the Opportunity Fund, and perhaps they might be able to shed a little bit more light.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. Erica, should we start with you?
Yeah, I appreciate the surprise around the 15% figure. And, we talked in preparation for today's call about calling it an administrative fee is really a misnomer, because I think within that 15%, as Mike delineated, there's a lot of benefit for the small business, including, and this is one of the reasons why the Community Foundation chose to partner with Opportunity Fund, is it's both the financial support, but the much needed technical assistance and guidance that comes with the financial support. This is a crisis. We're getting calls all the time from small businesses and nonprofits at the Community Foundation who just need someone, frankly, a friendly, trusted expert to listen and provide the guidance and coaching that they otherwise wouldn't get. The other thing that I would emphasize is the Community Foundation has also looked at other providers in this small loan, small business support space, and have been keeping an eye on the federal programs and benefits that may come through the federal programs. We're finding, though, that the small businesses that are minority owned, immigrant owned, women owned are just being missed, frankly.
Yes.
And again, it's a real niche that Opportunity Fund fits into. So just a few observations. And it sounds like the major sticking points right now are that 15% and then the interest rate. And that Mike and I some good information that we can also process after today's conversation and see if there may be some flexibility with some of that. But I don't want to speak for Opportunity Fund.
Thank you. I would really appreciate that. I also think that you brought something to light, and I thank you for that, is because I know our colleagues are going to be asking for us, the same thing. Maybe if you could just list what is that, I don't want to call it an admin fee, but that's what it's being referenced as, right? What does it really include, right? And so, because when you hear the word admin fee or the word grant, you automatically move into a different space, right? So I think that would be really important. I've worked with both organizations in the past, and you guys do amazing work. So I definitely think our city would benefit from the expertise that your organizations bring to the table. But it's, I think if you would be able to cater what that includes, that would help both the chair and I to really share that with our colleagues, right? Because those are the questions that they're going to be asking. And definitely if you could look into to see how we could narrow down that 15%, that would be greatly appreciated, I think, on our end. So thank you with that.
Yeah, that would be great if you can, he already did tell us what the breakdown, and I'm sure Alex wrote all that down. And he'll share that with the city council. But if you guys can, if Opportunity Fund can, and Silicon Valley Community Foundation can have a conversation and see what you can do. Because my concern, this is my concern. The businesses need the funding now. It's like, yes, like Alex said yesterday. And the good part about this is when you said 3 to 5 day turnaround, that's the bright light in this crisis, and they need this now. Yeah, if you can come back and have when we have our next meeting, and then by then the next city council meeting is on the 19th. So Alex, do you think we can have a meeting be on the 15th? Or is that still too soon?
So, Chair, if I may, at the last city council meeting on April 21st, the mayor did say that he would call a special meeting as soon as
Oh.
possible.
Sorry,
So-
I had the wrong date on there.
It was the 15th
Oh,
May.
April 21st. Right, sorry, I was looking at May. So we can have a meeting on the 17th, or is that still too soon?
Well, it's May 1st. So
17th is Sunday.
yeah, 17th
A
is
Friday.
on the
17th is a Friday.
Are you sure
May.
you're looking at the right year?
Yeah,
No, I
April
think-
2020.
The 15th.
May.
15th is
Oh,
Friday, May. Yeah.
Oh, so you want May? I was thinking
Yeah.
about April.
Oh, well, it's May 1st today.
I know, you're right.
It's okay, Carmen. It's happened to all of us. What day is it?
I know.
days
What
are
day is
blending
it?
into one.
I've been stuck at the house too long.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So yeah, the
Yeah,
15th,
yeah.
you're right. Is that
The-
too soon?
No, I think that gives us 2 solid weeks to
Okay.
continue having conversations with Opportunity Fund and the Community Foundation, as well as look at other alternatives, because it seemed like both of you were interested in learning more about the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center and what they're doing with the city of Sunnyvale, so we can
Mhm.
learn more and explore as
Yeah, that
well.
would be great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right. I think
Then
that
we'll
would
bring
be
it back.
great. I
we'll
also
bring it back
think-
on the 19th. In the
Yeah.
city council.
15th. We say 15th?
May 19th, the city council meeting.
Yes, but the mayor did say that he was interested in conducting a special meeting
A
if
meeting.
you're interested, unless you
Oh,
both
okay.
like to have it on the 19th. That's fine.
Okay, no, that if he wants to do it if you're okay, I think it really depends on staff. If you think you can have all that information prepared and ready,
Yes, I
then
believe we
then that
can.
would be fine. Okay, that would be fine.
Um,
I want to thank, do we have time still, or are we at our limit? What time is it right now?
I would look to Councilmember Dominguez for that.
Yes, no, we still have time, Chair,
Okay.
if you'd like to express. One thing, though, that I would like to also move in the directive is, I think personally, I value long-term partnerships. I think they're really, really important. I think that if we are able to move the conversation in, again, listing that list, right, of what the admin fee brings in, but maybe also both organizations listing for us and for our colleagues, what does a long-term sustainable plan partnership really look like? And what are the benefits of that long-term partnership? I think sometimes when we just look at narrowing it down, we lose the big picture. But if we're able to see that maybe in the continuum of this partnership, you're able to provide, I don't know, free, workshops or whatever it is that you could bring that could help the council and ourselves see that 15% is just a minimal cost compared to the catered of services that will come with it.
Yeah, we might have to just, it all depends what information you gather, staff, and we might just have to bite the bullet and just go with Opportunity Fund. It just depends. But the main thing is the 3 to 5 days, 1 week. So, all right, anyone else want to say anything else?
Yes, Chair Shweeny does have her hand up, our Assistant City Manager, so I'm going to go to her.
Thank you, Alex. So just want to confirm that then all the additional information we're bringing straight back to the full council, whether it's a special meeting or are we coming back to the subcommittee
To the
And if
subcommittee.
so, then we just
Except-
need to, okay, so then we just need to figure out that timeline, Alex, because if we're doing a special meeting on the 15th with council, we need to kind of make sure we have information to bring back to the subcommittee in advance of that.
Yes.
So I think, would it be easier if we had a subcommittee meeting? I was under the understanding we're having a
15th?
subcommittee meeting on the 15th to
Mhm.
bring it back to a special meeting on council on the 19th.
Well, I was under the impression we were gonna have one on the 15th. On the same day, we're gonna have that special meeting, which are usually in the evenings. I was thinking we can have it in the morning or at around this time. Unless anybody has a problem with back-to-back meetings.
I like to stay away from subcommittee meetings and council meetings the same day because it just allows staff to just debrief what they're going to present to council. So I would at least ask kindly if we could at least give it a day. And not
Okay,
do
how
it
about
on
the
the
14th? Alex, how are you on that?
We will make that work, but I do believe our
Wait.
assistant city manager said something that's really important. We'd like to get in front of you again, obviously. And we can do that before the 14th, because then now we're talking about a special city council meeting on the 14th or a
The 15th, wait.
subcommittee.
No, Alex, I think Councilmember Montano, Chair Montano was saying, what if we did this subcommittee meeting on the 14th? Could we do the council meeting on
Special
the
meeting.
15th? I think we just need to allow for a couple of days just because we'll take back the discussion. And then if we need to make any updates for the packet going to council, and we need to post that at least 24 hours in advance. So if we just allow for 2 days between the two, that I think that would work. So whatever date, maybe first figure out the subcommittee date, depending on Alex, how much time we need to bring back the information. And then we can do the council meeting right after that. And we'll have to poll for the council meeting as well to make sure everybody's available. So
So
maybe
the
Alex,
the 13th, maybe, perhaps? You said a couple of days before that special meeting?
yes.
Okay. So Alex?
Alex, is that okay? 13th for the subcommittee and then 15th we'll poll for a special council meeting.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
The subcommittee on 5/13, city council meeting on 5/15.
Correct.
Yes.
I believe also Gwen had something.
Go ahead.
I saw your hand go up.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this is Gwendy Brown, also with Opportunity Fund. And I think just to kind of close
Go ahead.
out. Hello, hi, thank you, council members, for the time. We completely understand that the council came together with a vision of really what your small business relief program would look like, and what we're able to offer is different. And I just wanted to make sure that you know that we are both a nonprofit organization with very long-standing roots in the community, and that really our vision is, and really our history has been to develop what we call scalable programs, so things that we can really develop and set up and keep running. And I think that is one thing that differentiates what we're proposing from what, unfortunately, I think a lot of municipalities are doing, which are these one-time, very important infusions of grants or $0 loans. But as Mike was saying, we're building this on top of a big state loan guarantee program, so we can make more loans after that. So, as our relationship develops, you're sending customers to us as we raise more funds with the community foundation that come from other sources, we can be serving Milpitas businesses 6 months from now, 9 months from now with
In
new
the long
loans.
term. In the
So
long term, I'd say.
yeah, so I think that's just part of our vision. And so we completely understand, and we'll be completely supportive of whatever direction you go, but just wanted you to understand that is really what's behind it, is the desire to create something. Because we know that it's not just about relief right now, it's about the recovery 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. And, we were here in the last recession and after it, and we're going to be here again this time. So we just need to build programs and commit to things that we can sustain financially. So thank you.
I like that, yeah. And you did say the key word, long-term relationships. And then Councilmember Dominguez did mention about building, how important it is to build relationships, long-term relationships. And maybe you're an investment for our community, business community, that they can look to in the future, when all this is done, hopefully soon. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. And we can build on that. So that's good. That's another thing that we will bring to this, to all of the city council members, and then they can make that decision, you know, to move forward or some other ways. And I look forward to getting the information from Alex about Sunnyvale and what they're doing and what other cities are doing. So, and being creative and trying to help. The bottom line is we're trying to help our small business community because they're really hurting right now. And I'm glad that your organization is there, you know, as a lending a hand to help us, to help them. So great. And is there anything else that you'd like to say, Alex and Karina, any Councilmember Dominguez, anyone?
Yes, if I may, I just want to confirm what I've heard so that when we make a motion, we make sure we get it all in there. It's important for us as staff and important for the community to make sure we know what's happening here. So this is what I heard. If I didn't capture anything, please let me know. We want to make sure to incorporate monies for rent and or mortgage.
Correct.
Both council members mentioned that. There's concern about the administrative fee of 15%. There's concern about the 4.25% interest rate. We are, let's see, our representative, our partner from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation did say that 15% does really come with financial support and technical assistance and guidance. And we just heard from Opportunity Fund, Wendy, talking about serving Milpitas businesses now in terms of immediate relief due to the pandemic, but also recovery for later. So building programs to be sustainable. I also heard that we would follow up with a subcommittee meeting on May 13th and then a special city council meeting on May 15th.
Correct.
Also, I heard Councilmember Dominguez talk about the value of long-term partnerships and what does it look like in terms of benefits and workshops. It seemed like there's a consensus that you would like both representatives from the Silicon Valley Community Foundation and Opportunity Fund to take a look at a list of benefits and just more information in that respect. Did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it all. I just have one more question. The 4.25 interest rate, is this because it's a small business? Because right now with people that are taking out loans on their home, it's 3.75, I think, or 2.5. Why the big difference? I guess that would be for Mike or.
Sure, and Mike unfortunately had to step off, but I'm happy to speak to that. This is Brown again. So small business loans are simply just much more costly to make. They're riskier. They're much smaller as well. So again, it may take a bank the same amount of time to process a home equity loan or a new mortgage. But we're talking about $10,000, $12,000 loans, and we still have to do all the processing, make sure that everything is correct there. So in general, you know, mortgages and small business loans are not generally priced similarly. Even, you know, a bank, banks aren't really making small business loans today anyway, but if they were, they would certainly be, you know, a number of percentage points higher than a mortgage.
So it would be higher, a bank would be higher than 4.25 right now?
Definitely, and banks really don't make these loans anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Okay,
you
thanks for that clarification.
To the iBank, the guarantee aspect of it?
Sure. So as far as the pricing there, it's basically a sliding guarantee from 95 to 85%. So if we do the prime interest rate plus, I believe, 1%, which is the 4.25, then we get the 95% interest rate guarantee. And if you do a higher interest rate, then you get a lower guarantee. So they're incentivizing lenders to charge the lowest rates that they can.
Oh, that works. That's pretty good, actually. That is good. Okay, yeah, that was the iBank. That whole concept of iBank was brought to us at the webinar about 3 weeks ago, and that's a good thing. I like that. So, okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. So Alex
wanted to
hi,
add,
Chris.
I'm sorry I'm joining a little late. We just got the login information, but I know there were some legal questions. We'll work with Alex and make sure you guys get some answers.
Okay.
But we'll have them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good to see you. All right. Is there anything else? No, there's no public comments online. Alex, none?
There are not, and
Okay.
so I guess the next thing is to make a motion and vote on some of the things that I described, as well as I'm glad that our city attorney, Christie, has talked about the question related to the charter city versus
General law.
general law.
One more question, Alex, to you. When will you be meeting with, or via virtual meeting with Dennis King? I mean, do you speak to him constantly about, and about this situation here as well?
We were on the phone today at about 12:30.
Okay,
We
good.
are communicating frequently, and not just with Dennis directly, but with his organization, Chris Horton, who is our representative for Milpitas and is also a Milpitas Chamber Board representative, as well as Ali Lopez and other representatives that work with Dennis King. We are in constant communication with the Silicon Valley Small Business Development Center and SCORE and other organizations that are helping make sure that we're providing the business assistance to our small businesses, as well as technical assistance and access to capital.
Okay, great. One more question. This is going to be my last one. Since a lot of these small businesses are restaurants, is there a possibility that we can use some of that funding, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10K for, to have someone kind of collaborate or be collaborate with trying to do a delivery services, because I know right now some of the businesses are contracting with Grubhub and what are the other ones? There's a few other ones. But what if, yeah, DoorDash. But what if they were to work together as a cooperative and just share the cost, and then someone can be the financial director, the one that does the can that be done just to help them out?
Chair, if I may, if that's what council directs staff to do, we would set aside some funding. It would obviously not be, this doesn't appear to be a loan situation, and perhaps more of a grant to private entities like Grubhub or Uber Eats, Caviar. There's a bunch of these services. So I think that's if you want to add that to the motion to take in front of.
Yeah, if you could look into that,
council.
because I know those delivery services really, they take a lot of their revenue, what little revenue they do get. And I know the city of San Francisco put on a cap that these delivery services can't charge 15%, but Chris Diaz, our city attorney already looked into that, and that would be problematic. So I was thinking, well, if we can't do that, then perhaps we can incentivize these small businesses to work together to form a co-op or some kind of collaborative where they can share the cost, working together to help one another. Maybe if you can look into that, just trying to come up with some ideas.
I don't want to speak for our city attorney, but I remember reading that email, and just to clarify, I believe that 15% cap that the city of San Francisco was successful in. It is true that the city has those types of police powers, but we have to make specific findings, and those findings could perhaps be made, but there may be some challenges. I would look to our city attorney to add more information.
Yeah, he said, he said that, and then they are a charter city too, so that's another thing.
Yeah, so Chair Montano and Alex, I think you all are capturing the discussion well. I just want to make sure we're being mindful of the Brown Act, but I think what we could do is not include this in the motion, but obviously get staff direction to definitely look into, I think, what Chair Montano is proposing, and then come back with some answers for the subcommittee.
Great idea. See, there you go. You took the words right out of my mouth, Chris. You got it. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, Councilmember Dominguez, do you have any last words? Are you there?
Muted, council member.
No, nothing more, just other than have a great weekend. Thank you guys all for the work that you guys are all doing. I know it's troubling times, and I know I am looking forward to moving a partnership with those on call, and hopefully we can make something work. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Chair.
Yeah, we have to look at the pros and the cons and do it. It's a balancing act, so
Mhm.
great. Okay, well, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Silicon Valley Community Foundation, and thank you, Opportunity Fund, Mike, and thank you, our city attorney, Shweeny, Alex. Thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing to help our community. Thank you so much. And with
Very much.
that, everyone, have a safe weekend.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Oh.